On October 15th, 1959, representatives from 12 countries gathered in Washington, D.C. to finalize the Antarctic Treaty. After 6 weeks of negotiations, the treaty was signed December 1st, 1959, and became a landmark in international cooperation. The treaty was necessary due to mounting concerns over territorial claims and the potential for militarization of Antarctica during the Cold War. In the early 20th century, several countries began claiming parts of Antarctica. By the late 1940s, Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom all had overlapping territorial claims. These claims raised tensions, especially as the Cold War between the United States and Soviet Union made Antarctica a potential site for military activity or resource exploitation. The increasing use of nuclear technology also raised concerns about Antarctica becoming a location for nuclear tests or weapons installations. With these issues in mind, there was a need to prevent any nation from turning Antarctica into a military zone. The successful collaboration during the International Geophysical Year of 1957 to 1958, where scientists from 12 countries conducted research in Antarctica, highlighted the value of international scientific cooperation. This paved the way for the Antarctic Treaty, which would secure Antarctica's future for peaceful purposes and scientific research. The Antarctic Treaty was signed by 12 countries: Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The treaty laid out several key principles. Peaceful use only. It was deemed that Antarctica would be used solely for peaceful purposes. All military activity, including the testing of weapons or setting up military bases, was prohibited. The treaty guaranteed freedom of scientific investigation and required that all research findings be shared. This maintained the spirit of the IGY and ensured that Antarctica remained open for international scientific cooperation. There was an agreement to no new territorial claims. The treaty froze all existing territorial claims and prohibited any new claims from being made while the treaty remained in effect. Importantly, this did not invalidate any current claims, but it did prevent any country from expanding upon them. There was also a ban on nuclear activity within the treaty. All nuclear explosions and the disposal of nuclear waste were banned in Antarctica. This made Antarctica a nuclear-free zone, a significant step given the global tensions surrounding nuclear arms. The treaty officially took effect June 23, 1961, creating a legal framework for managing Antarctica and preventing its exploitation. It has since become the foundation of the Antarctic Treaty System, which governs activities on the continent. While the treaty was primarily designed to prevent military activity, it also promoted international cooperation in scientific research. Antarctica has since become one of the most studied regions on Earth, providing crucial data on climate change, glaciology, and ecosystems unique to the continent. Over the years, additional agreements have been added to protect the fragile environment of Antarctica, including the Protocol on Environmental Protection, which prohibits mining and enforces strict environmental regulations. The Antarctic Treaty also represented a rare diplomatic success during the Cold War. Despite the ongoing rivalry between the United States and Soviet Union, both nations recognized the value of keeping Antarctica neutral and dedicated to peaceful purposes. The treaty provided a way for both superpowers to cooperate without giving up their strategic interests elsewhere in the world. Antarctica, in this sense, became a model of what international diplomacy could achieve, even in the most contentious times. One often overlooked aspect of the Antarctic Treaty is its environmental significance. Although environmental protection was not the primary focus of the treaty in 1959, it inadvertently safeguarded Antarctica from overexploitation. Decades later, environmental concerns became central to Antarctic governance, helping preserve one of the last truly untouched places on Earth outside of Topeka, Kansas. That's a really bad joke. Even today, the treaty continues to face challenges. Countries like China and India, which were not originally signatories, now have growing interests in the region, particularly in its potential natural resources. The increasing number of research stations and tourism activity also raises concerns about the future sustainability of the continent. Despite these challenges, the Antarctic Treaty remains one of the most successful international agreements, having kept Antarctica free from military conflict and resource exploitation for over 60 years. The treaty has enabled scientific breakthroughs and preserved one of the most fragile ecosystems, setting a standard for international cooperation. These are Interesting Things with JC.